What's up everybody, SuperDorkSpin here for another car review. This is of course the 2016 Lincoln MKX. Huge thanks to Lincoln for providing me with this very classy looking Lincoln to review for you guys today. So about the MKX, well, it's been recently restyled here and I think looks really classy. Now it's based on the Edge, but you couldn't tell by looking at it. I mean, it's swapped the Edge's edgy, boxy look for these beautiful curving lines that are very flowing and just elegant, especially in white here with the black roof. I mean, it looks like a tuxedo that rolls. I mean, it's just extremely classy, very elegant looking, and I love their headlights and their grille treatment and those taillights in the back that sweep all the way across the tailgate there. Just absolutely gorgeous, and there isn't a bad angle on this car. It looks really nice. It actually looks a little bit smaller than an Edge as well, and so that's welcome. It's not quite as intimidating, and just overall a really beautiful looking SUV. Right, for the interior of the Lincoln MKX here, well, it's again completely gone over here for 2016 model year, and it is so nice in here. First thing you notice though is getting in and out of the Lincoln actually is very easy. It's similar to the Edge in that regard, where the door is cut out very low so that it's really easy to get in and out of. Almost feels like you're getting out of a car. It's very simple. Once you're in here though, I mean, it is really slick. I love the design of these Lincolns. It's very minimalistic and sleek, and it just looks really cool to me. But anyway, first things first, sitting down in these seats, very nice soft black leather here, and the Lincoln leather has a really rich feeling, because I had just got out of the Ford Explorer Platinum, which also had very nice seats, but the leather has a nicer, I guess, silkier texture to them, and they just feel really nice, and they're very comfortable as well. I mean, obviously this is a Lincoln SUV, so you're not going to be expecting any kind of crazy side bolstering here, but they hold me in place pretty well, even smaller guys like myself, but I think they'd fit all body types really well. And of course this is set up for comfort, not sportiness, and so in that I think these seats actually do a really good job. Next is the steering wheel in the Lincoln, which is super nice, and again, to me, I actually prefer it over the Ford wheels because it has a more natural 9/3 grip to me. It's more comfortable for your thumbs here. It just feels really nice. Again, you got this nice smooth leather, very classy looking with the wood and the metal accents. There are a good assortment of buttons on here. They're kind of small as well, so not the easiest steering wheel to use as far as all the buttons go. Once you figure it out though, it should be fine, and you do have nice little paddles here in the back in case you do want to get sporty with it, but overall just a really nice wheel. Next is the gauges in the Lincoln, which are really nice. Again, very similar to the Ford Explorer, same basic gauges, but they do have a different font there for the speedometer and tachometer, which makes them a little more sophisticated looking than the Fords, but they're really great gauges, and they look totally great in the Lincoln here as well. And you have I love the digital inserts there within the analog gauges, and so on the right hand side there you have the lane keep assist, and also your adaptive cruise control, and all that kind of stuff is displayed in that right screen in addition to your fuel, and so nice to have that. On the left hand side there you have you can scroll through your fuel economy, your trip information, and other driver settings and things like that. And then that center screen is reserved for either your entertainment, your navigation, or your phone functions, and so really nice how they've divided everything out there, and overall I think it's a really nice setup. Coming over to the center of the dashboard here, this is where the Lincoln is really unique from, none of the Fords share any of this stuff really, and I love it. The first thing you'll notice is the gear selector, which is this column of buttons here along the left hand side of the center console, and I think it's just a really cool way to reduce clutter. You don't have to worry about a knob or a shift lever or anything like that. Just nice little buttons, and it's all symmetrical with the right hand side there, which has some camera and parking assist options and stuff, and just really nicely blends in. You also have your engine start stop button down here as well, and I really like that. It takes a little getting used to, of course, remembering to hit a button to go into drive drive and park and stuff, but once you get used to it, it's really nice. The center screen here is the standard My Ford Touch that you know, has been Lincoln-ified a little bit and looks a little bit classier, but it's still the same basic thing, very, very similar, but it works great. You know, I have this in my Mustang, it works just fine, it's really nice. I am looking forward to Sync 3 being rolled out in all of the Ford and Lincoln products, which should be happening, I guess, next year, and I think that'll be a huge improvement, because, you know, the navigation maps are a little slow to load, things like that, but overall, I mean, for your basic stuff, listening to the radio, making a phone call, you know, the climate controls, all that kind of stuff, it does it all perfectly fine, and haven't had it crash or have any issues with me, and so overall I think it's a really nice system still. Coming down to the rest of the controls here, you have very nice volume and tune knobs. It's nice because the Fords only have a big volume knob, and they don't have a tune knob, which I miss. I like having a tune knob, and they're very nicely finished here with the metal that just feels like $1,000,000. And then you also have these little metal rockers for Seek and also for your climate control rockers here, and everything is so solid feeling, and it just feels so high quality. You do have these somewhat small buttons here for your climate controls as well, but like I said, you can go up and use the screen if you'd like. Nice to have the hard buttons here though still. As far as storage space in the Lincoln MKX, it's fantastic. I mean, a lot of SUVs are really good, but this I think is even one step above that. So anyway, you have map pockets here in the doors with a bottle holder, which is a nice start. And then coming over to the center here, the first thing is you have this 2-level large cutout here underneath the center console, which you can, you know, fit tons of stuff in there. I mean, I don't know what, you can fit iPads, all that kind of stuff down here. Very, very spacious and nice to have that large area there. You do have another little second level up here, which also has your power outlet if you're looking for that. It's hidden away there a little bit, but there is one there, so it's nice to have it nonetheless. Then you come up to the top here, and you do have a normal cubby up here, which has a USB jack and also an SD card slot, and it's a nice size too, and so you can fit a good amount of things in there. Cell phones and all that will fit with ease. And then you have 2 cup holders, which are a great size, and then you have this center armrest, which again has more of that wonderful smooth Lincoln leather that I love, and is nicely padded, nice and soft, and great for resting your elbow on. And then this is also 2-tiered. So there's first this top level, which you know, is a pretty small thing there, but you can fit, you know, an iPod, stuff like that in there. And then you have the larger bottom portion here that has another USB jack. You have a coin holder, and it's really, really deep, so you can fit all kinds of stuff in there. You could probably fit a quart of milk in there, honestly. So very deep, and I don't think you'll have any problems with storing stuff in here. Backseat space in the MKX is pretty spacious. Now I've noticed, I think it actually feels a little bit smaller than the Edge in the back, even though, like I said, they're on the same platform. But for some reason, it just seems not quite as spacious back there. But still, I mean, I'm 5'9", me sitting behind myself, I still probably have almost a foot of legroom there, and I have several inches of headroom as well. That moonroof, I think, does maybe lower just a tad, but like I said, it's still, you have tons of headroom there. I don't think anyone's going to really have too much of a problem. And the nice thing is, those back seats also can recline a good bit, so you can make them into lazy boys back there, really, and they can just go really far back and be very comfortable for road trips. This one being the reserve trim that I'm reviewing here, one of the options it has is the heated rear seats. It also has a standard house current power outlet, as well as a standard cigarette lighter power outlet as well back there. So great to have, you know, keep everything charged on road trips and stuff like that. And so overall, it's a really nice back seat. Trunk space in the Lincoln MKX is really spacious, a very long area. It's not very deep, I will say that. You do have a spare tire under the cover there, so it's not super deep, but it's plenty long enough. You can still fit many, many suitcases back there, you know, and obviously being a hatch and an SUV, you have all kinds of space. You can fit lots and lots of stuff back there, and so overall, just a really nice space still. All right, so start up and go for a drive. Lincoln key, very, very similar to the Ford keys, but I think the Ford keys are really nice too, so this is nothing bad. And then on the back there, you do also have the remote start function, which is always nice to have. Anyway, it's keyless start, of course. You just leave this in your pocket, hit the engine start button, and it starts right up. All right, so setting off in the 2016 Lincoln MKX. Well, first thing you notice is just how good the visibility is. It's so much better than the Edge that it's based on, and it feels a lot more car-like and a lot less intimidating to drive. The Edge felt kind of big and felt kind of hard to judge where the end of the car was and stuff. This, it's much easier. The sight lines are much better. The dashboard seems to fall down a little bit lower so that you can see forward much better. The hood drops down nicely so you can barely see that, and you know, A-pillar's not too thick, I mean, just excellent forward visibility. Side visibility is very good as well. You do have a pretty chunky B-pillar there, but you do have blind spot monitoring here with this package at least, and it's still, you can still see around it pretty easily and see into the back window there. So not too bad there. Rear visibility is also very good, and you can see out of there easily. Alrighty, so let's turn on to this back road here and see how it does. Okay, that something goes pretty well here. So we have the 2.7 liter EcoBoost engine in this one, which is an option. They do come standard with the 3.7 liter V6, but this 2.7 liter V6 is really great with the turbos. 335 horsepower and 380 pound-feet of torque here in the Lincoln version. The Ford Edge Sport is the only other way you can get this motor on this platform, and that makes less power at 350 pound-feet of torque and 315 horsepower. So definitely the quickest in this, but 0 to 60 time is still very similar to the Edge at around 6.4 seconds. And this one, by the way, is front-wheel drive. There is an all-wheel drive option. This one is front-wheel drive, though. But yeah, I mean, this EcoBoost engine, though, I mean, it pulls really strong. And just to compare it now, the naturally aspirated V6 that is available, the 3.7 liter Cyclone motor, that does 303 horsepower. So you pick up, you know, a good 32 horsepower with the EcoBoost. But the biggest thing is the torque. You only have around, I think they said something like 276 pound-feet of torque with the naturally aspirated V6. With this, it's over 100 extra pound-feet of torque, and that is what really makes the big difference to really give you that nice shove to get up and go, and just feels feels pretty punchy. We'll go for it again here. Got some wheel spin here because this is the front wheel drive one, so but that just shows you the torque, you know, putting all that torque through the front wheels. I could feel the steering wheel definitely twitching and stuff and trying to fight the torque steer there. So if you're looking to have, you know, something that doesn't twitch in a straight line, definitely recommend the all-wheel drive there. But even still, I mean, it puts on power really well, as you can see. There's not too many SUVs that'll do a rolling burnout like that, so pretty impressive. And otherwise, though, I mean, it's still, even out on the road here at, you know, higher speeds, it is buttery smooth, and that's the biggest thing, you know. Like, I mean, the Ford Edge and the Explorer, they all ride nicely, and they also have a little bit of a sportier ride. This, it's so smooth that, I mean, you can hardly feel anything, and you hardly hear anything either. I mean, even whenever large trucks pass you by, you barely even hear them, and especially if you have the radio on, you don't hear them at all, because this thing has an awesome Revel 1 audio system, which isn't even the top tier audio system, but this thing packs quite a punch, I gotta say. It sounds spectacular. One of the best sounding audio systems I've had in a car in recent memory. It's really impressive, and so yeah, just a really nice thing to drive. And I realize this is a Lincoln crossover, but I'm going to take it around a few corners here just to see how it handles. So it definitely already feels definitely on the soft side, but it holds its own. I mean, it leans, but then it sticks its ground there, and it does a pretty good job. I mean, again, this isn't a sports car. I'm going much slower than I would in something that's sporty, but it does feel good. Now, it definitely does have a softer spring rate, I think, than the Edge, because the Edge Sport that I reviewed, that thing just gobbled up corners like nobody's business, and I was blown away by just how amazing that handled for a crossover. This definitely feels a little bit more like it actually is a crossover, and but that's okay, because again, people that are in Lincolns aren't carving up back roads, and so, you know, this is set up to be comfortable, and for that, it does a really good job, and it still does handle well enough that you don't have to be terrified going, you know, into an off-ramp or something like that. So yeah, overall, I'm really impressed with this Lincoln. It's just so nice to drive. It's just so smooth, so refined, so comfortable and quiet and relaxing to drive, that I think, you know, for someone looking for a luxury SUV, it's really ideal, and definitely worth a test drive. And so yeah, but I'm gonna have this vehicle for an entire week thanks to Lincoln here, so I'm going to drive around all week, and I'll come back and give you my final impressions. Alright, so I've been driving the 2016 Lincoln MKX here for a week now, and it's a really nice thing to drive, and this is what I'm actually going to miss a little bit, because it's just a nice daily driving car. It's, you know, just comfortable, quiet, easy to drive, enjoyable to drive, and just for the normal mundane commuting kind of tasks, it is really excellent, and I love it. And so it's like I said, it's a really great SUV. One thing that I even appreciated a lot during the course of the week here is just how beautiful it looks at night. It is really beautiful the way that it lights up. You have the puddle lamps with the Lincoln logo, and I love the headlights and the taillights with their LED treatment. It's just really cool looking to me, and I think that this is one of the most beautiful SUVs on the market. And so it's nice just, walking up to something, or, walking away from something being like, man, that's a really good looking car. And so just a nice little additional perk with the Lincoln here. While we're speaking about nighttime features and things like that though, one thing about this vehicle at night that was a little bit annoying is the auto high beams. Now there is an option to turn off that setting so you don't have to have the auto high beams, but it would be nice if it just was a little more intelligent, because it is nice to have the high beams turn on whenever it's darker. But there were several times where it would just flash the high beams at oncoming traffic, or it wouldn't turn off in time, or it wouldn't recognize when there was a car there, and I had to manually go every single time with the stalk and turn it off. And so it just would be nice if it was a little more intelligent, or a little less aggressive with turning on those high beams. But like I said, you can go into the settings and turn off the auto high beam feature there. But just a little note to make. Another system that I was a little bit perturbed by at times was the lane keep assist, which I also have tested in stuff like the Explorer, and in that it wasn't quite as invasive. In this, it seems to really be sensitive to making sure I'm perfectly within the lines, and whenever you're going around corners and things like that, where you do kind of cut into the shoulder just a tad, it likes to freak out a little bit and kind of nudge you in the correct direction. And so again, not a big deal, something you don't have to get. This is an option package, but just it would be nice if it was just a little less aggressive. And as we do a little acceleration here, you can tell it definitely does like the torque steer still, and that's something I mentioned earlier. But even on dry pavement, it's just a lot of power to put through the front wheels, and that torque steer is pretty apparent. And for someone that's driving a Focus ST or something like that, it's fine, it's fun, it's whatever. But for a luxury SUV, most people that are driving this and want to just stomp on the gas might be a little bit disturbed by the fact that the steering wheel is twitching so much. And so that's why, the easy way to fix that is just to get the all-wheel drive version, that there, whenever you do have a lot of power coming on, that it'll kick some of that to the back so that your front steering wheel here isn't, moving around like crazy. But it is a little bit of a wrestling match whenever, it's drier, and especially if it's a little bit wet and you try and stomp on it, trying to keep it going in a straight line here, because these wheels definitely want to go crazy. One other quick little thing is there was a little rattle in the door that came and went throughout the week here. I think it was something related to the speaker grill there, but I'm not totally sure. Again, not a huge deal, but for a car that's over 50,000 bucks and less than 12,000 miles, you would hope there wouldn't be any rattles yet. But it is what it is, not a big deal though. But while we're speaking about the price, that's one of the last things I want to mention here is the price of this SUV, because this one has a bunch of the option packages on it. This one, as equipped, is right under 55,000 bucks at 54 and change, but you can get a nice one of these for under 50,000 if you get rid of some of the options, some of the safety tech, stuff like that. So I think it's actually pretty competitively priced, considering there's a lot of other options in this segment that do start around the same price as this, but their options are much more expensive and they come less loaded from the base model. And so by the time you're done loading them up, they're well over 50,000 bucks just to get a decent one. And so I think it's very competitively priced. It's a great option. Like I said, it's one of the most beautiful ones out there in my opinion, as far as SUVs go, and I think it's a really cool choice. The last thing I want to mention very briefly is the fuel economy. So I put about 240 miles on it in the week that I had it here, and my fuel economy average was 17.1, which I think is pretty good. It's certainly better than the Explorer that I had last week, and it's for an SUV, I think it's pretty good. It would be nice if you could get into the 20s, but my driving was primarily city. There was a little bit of highway driving there, maybe 20 to 25%, because it is rated at 17 in the city and 26 on the highway for a combined average of 21. So like I said, I think I saw a little less than that. Maybe I was a little more aggressive with the gas pedal than most owners would be, but it still seems a little bit shy of you know, where it should be. Overall though, I really like this Lincoln, and I would definitely recommend it to anyone that's looking for a luxury SUV. They want style and comfort. I think this is a really great choice. So let me know your thoughts on the Lincoln MKX here, and thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care.